If you're like me, dude, you've been spending years covering up how you really feel inside. You continue to put on this facade for the people around you, man, because you don't actually want them to know just how broken you are inside. You spend your days filling up your days with things that make you laugh or forget, but it never actually makes you feel any better, man. In fact, the harsh reality is, it just makes you feel more lost. If I struck a nerve, dude, then today I want to share with you 4 simple ways that I use to cure my own depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts using the Quran and authentic Sunnah. If I got your attention, let's jump in. Today I brought y'all to the Salahuddin graveyard here in Antioch, Tennessee, man. Now the reason why I brought you here is because I think it's pretty fitting, man. If we're going to talk about such a serious topic, let's get as real as it gets. And it don't get no more realer than the freaking graveyard, dude. Now I do have to make a quick disclaimer, man, and that is I am not a professional, okay? This is just my personal experience. I'm not giving any medical advice, man. Always seek professional medical help for mental illness. Now, with that being said, dude, we all get down, alright? It happens to me, it happens to everyone. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is staying down, where you continue to make destructive choices and live with destructive habits that drown you so much that you start considering the possibility of suicide. Now, we all know the virtue of being a shaheed, a martyr in Islam, but I believe that many of us, we don't actually want to be a martyr. We just wish for death because we're overwhelmed with depression, which the believer should never face, man. We find in Sahih Muslim a hadith that was narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu, he said, "No one of you should wish for death or pray for it before it comes. For when one of you dies, his good deeds come to an end, and for the believer, a long life will not increase him in anything but good." And we also find a version narrated in Al-Bukhari. It says, "No one of you should wish for death. Either he is a doer of good and will do more, or he is a doer of evil, but perhaps he may stop." Dude, I remember vividly about 7 or 8 years ago, man, right in this spot right here, there was a night, man, during Ramadan where I had hit my breaking point, man. I had just finished Salah and everybody was going to have iftar. And I remember just going back into sujood and crying and begging Allah Azza wa Jal to take my life. I didn't want to live anymore, man. The pressures of, you know, losing all my friends after Islam, and the pressures of not being married and leaving my dream of being the world's greatest guitar player after 7 hard years of sacrifice that would make your head spin, and just so many other things, man, that it just got to a point I just had hit my breaking point, man. Clearly Allah Azza wa Jal did not answer that dua, and I give all praise to Him, Azza wa Jal. And I realized, man, that Allah wasn't coming to save me until I saved myself. Dude, if we were to actually look into the Quran and the Sunnah, we would find the answers to all the problems that we have in our life. You see, Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us and He explains to us, right, the condition of those who are actually successful. The mind frame, if you will, that the successful enjoy, which is, in contrast, the complete and polar opposite of what so many of our lives are today. Allah Azza wa Jal repeatedly says in the Quran when describing the successful, "La khawfun alayhim wa la yasanun. La khawfun alayhim wa la tasanun." Allah clearly says right here. He says, "Ya ibadi la khawfun alaykum al-yawm wa la antum tahzanun." The successful, when Allah describes them, they have no fear will be upon them, nor will they grieve. And what Allah Azza wa Jal is referring to is that they don't fear what's to come, i.e. the grave, questioning on Yawm al-Qiyamah, or the Surat, etc. And they don't grieve of the past, man. They don't grieve what they left behind, of family, of wealth, etc., etc., man. And I feel that most of us, dude, we live in one of these 2 worlds, if not both. The first world, dude, is constantly living in the past. You're just constantly grieving over what took place in the past, dude. Whether that means a bad relationship, Whether that means you suffered some type of neglect and abuse and trauma as a child, maybe you failed an exam that prevented you from getting, I don't know, your dream career or something like that, right? Maybe you failed on your diet for the 100th time, or whatever else, dude, and it's constantly stealing your joy and quality of life. And the second group are the ones that are constantly worried and fearful of the future. That's all they're doing, is just anxious about the future, man. And a lot of that does stem from your past, right? Because you had a bad relationship, you're too afraid to get into another one. Or maybe you've seen that your parents were in a toxic relationship and you're like, dude, that ain't for me. Or maybe because you failed your diet and cheated yourself yet again for the 100th time, you're just gonna tell yourself, why even bother doing that again? You're just gonna quit like you always do, and then you decide to relent. And that's why I'm constantly saying at the end of my videos, as always, stop stressing yesterday, guys. Stop stressing yesterday. Stop stressing yesterday. I should probably do that the other way. Stop stressing yesterday, stop fearing tomorrow, make today great, and I will see you in that next one. So be like those whom Allah said are successful, man. Success leaves clues. If the successful are those who don't fear the future and they're not sweating the past, we should strive to live by that example, because that means that we are living as if we are successful. And that's not because some guru said it. It's not because I said it. It's because Allah said it. And so how I've personally found for my own self how to implement Al-Khawfun alayhim wa la yahzanun, to not fear and have anxiety of the future, dude, nor to grieve and stress, about the past, is, dude, when it comes to the past, man, qadar Allah, alright? It was already decreed by Allah 50,000 years before anything was ever created. So there's nothing you can do about it, dude. Learn from it and move on, bro. And when it comes to the future, dude, it's the future, man. You have no idea what Allah is going to decree. Our imaginations, dude, can either be our greatest asset or our greatest enemy. And a perfect example of this is the original Halloween movie. Most horror movies, man, are filled with the good stuff, right? Blood, guts, gore, right? To make it feel more realistic. However, the original Halloween from 1978 is very unique in the fact that there was not a single scene with blood in it. If you follow me on Instagram, right here is where I shot the fence yesterday, RIP. But, dude, how could Halloween be considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time and not have any guts and gore in it, dude? That is because our imaginations, man, can create way more terrifying realities than any makeup artist ever could. So dude, if you want to be, as Allah described, is stop fearing the future, stop fearing the past, right? Be successful, inshallah. You need to focus on where your feet are planted right now. Be present in the moment, dude, because if you fix today, if you win today, by default, dude, you do two things. First, you correct the mistakes of the past. If you are living the way you're supposed to right now, it corrects everything in the past. The past doesn't matter anymore. And if you win today, you focus on today, by default, you are preparing yourself to become the best version of your future self. With that being said, I'm gonna shoot this arrow. Bismillah. The second thing, bro, that could be causing, your depression and anxiety and all these different things, dude, is comparison. Now, I'm all for inspiration, right? Taking inspiration from others and taking a healthy, swift kick in the butt too, man, when you need one. But that's not what I'm referring to. What I am referring to here, dude, is becoming so overwhelmed with grief because of what you perceive other people to have. Again, the key word here, dude, is perceive what other people have. We spend so much time, man, counting other people's money. I mean, just ask yourself, dude, think for a moment. How many times have you admired someone from afar, right? Admired their car, admired their house, etc. And the thing is, dude, is firstly we say, oh, must be nice, right? And you start to have this jealousy and maybe even, envy, right? And it just overwhelms you with grief. And that's because we always come to the conclusion in our minds that if someone has something, that must mean that they own it. Because the reality is, man, is that most people that you see driving a nice car, they got a car note every single month, dude, alright? you admire someone who doesn't even own that thing, and a lot of times people are just looking rich, right, to seek validation from other people. So you admiring this person and being secretly envious of this person, little do you know that car could feel like a noose around their neck. I've had people at this very gym come and brag to me about their car or this or that. And hey dude, that's great. I'm happy for you, man. I want you to have nice things. But if you ask those same individuals, well dude, how much money do you have, you know, in appreciating assets? Crickets. Okay. How much money do you have saved? Crickets. All right. So again, dude, you're comparing yourself to other people, dude, who really don't got it like you think they do. And if that person does have the ability to afford that lifestyle, that car, that house, right, to go on those vacations, they're not living above their means. You don't know what it took for them to get there, dude. You can't just be like, oh, it must be nice. Dude, you don't know the sacrifices that they made. You don't know the years that they invested in themselves before they actually accomplished what they dreamed of, man. So either way, dude, it doesn't make any sense. Either you're comparing yourself to someone who, like I said, really don't got it the way that you think they do, and in reality, that materialistic possession, that thing that you are coveting, right, that you envy, that's burning you up inside, is a major source of their own grief because they are living above their means. Or it's not fair to compare your life to someone else if in fact you have not made the same investments, the same sacrifices for the same amount of years that that person has to get where they are in life. And the last thing I want to talk about, dude, with regards to comparisons, is that if you're gonna compare your life, dude, to someone else, compare what most people consider the pinnacle of success, the peak of success, right, to what Allah Azza wa Jal will give the believer. Colon thabat, the firm word, la ilaha illallah, tawheed, in the hereafter. In Sahih Muslim, we find a hadith that says, Prophet Musa alayhi salam asked his Lord, who amongst the inhabitants of paradise is the lowest in rank? He, Allah Azza wa Jal, said, the person who will be admitted into paradise after all those who have deserved it have been admitted to it. It will be said to him, enter paradise. And he will say, oh my Lord, how could I enter while the people have settled in their abodes and taken their shares? It will be said to him, would you be pleased if there would be for you like the kingdom of a king from the kings of the world? He will say, I am pleased, my Lord. Allah will say, for you is that, and like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. He will say at the fifth, I am pleased, my Lord. Allah will say, it is for you and 10 times like it, and for you is what your soul desires, and what your eye enjoys. He will say, I am pleased, my Lord. Now let me ask you a question, dude. The most powerful, most influential, most wealthy, and most successful people in the world, can they buy a continent? I mean, think about it, dude. Have you ever watched an episode of MTV Cribs or Lifestyles of Rich and Famous where someone bought an entire continent, like North America, Asia, Africa, Europe? The most you'll see is someone buying a private island. Now let's think about this hadith again, man. The worst Muslim to ever live, who believed in Allah, the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ, believed that Jesus was not the Son of Allah, but one of the greatest and mightiest messengers Allah ever sent, that accepted with full certainty and conviction the tenets of Iman, of faith, that didn't miss a her salah, inshallah, will be given not a continent which would already make them more wealthy and successful by today's standards than anybody we know today, but 10 times the entire world and everything in it, and that's the lowest person in paradise. They get all the continents times 10, dude. So what about the one who is striving day in and day out? The one who is fighting his or her own self, fighting shaitan, racing and competing for the good pleasure of Allah. What will they be given? So keep that in mind, bro, whenever you want to compare your life to someone else's, not for the sake of inspiration, but because you're secretly envious of the little they've been given. Alright, dude, we finna hit a late night sesh because tomorrow is Yom Arafat, so we got a fast tomorrow, so inshallah, we're just gonna make the gym's right next to the international airport, man. But yeah, dude, tonight's gonna be an easy technique night. Really no heavyweight at all. Again, just working on technique because I'm about 4 days out from test my 1 rep max. So we're just trying to get everything, you know, squared away, inshallah. Allah Azza wa Jal tightened up. All right, so let's get it. Like I said, dude, this is technique night 4 days out from my meet, inshallah, so don't expect any crazy numbers on the bar today. But this leads me to my next habit that can help you overcome depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, man, and that's the power of a winning gratitude streak, man. I've talked about this before in other videos, but one of the most effective ways to focus on yourself and build the muscle of gratitude and stack win after win after win every single day is a simple winning streak. Did you catch a green light, dude? Win. Held the door open for someone? Win. Woke up? Win. When you appreciate the little things, it makes life much more rewarding, dude. And what is depression except feeling as if you're losing? If you constantly feel you're winning, how could you ever be depressed? So start keeping track of everything you do in a given day, and at the end, reflect on just how great your life is. Another way, dude, that helped me overcome and cure my anxiety and depression and all that nonsense, dude, was coming to the realization that you can actually create passion, and it isn't something that you need to find. A lot of people talk about finding your passion, but dude, your passion isn't hiding from you, man. It's not playing hard to get here. You can begin creating passion at any moment in your life. Just a few short years ago, man, I was the guy who never worked out. And I know that's hard to believe coming from the guy who now works out like twice a day, but it's true, man. And when I first started, dude, I literally hated it. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, dude. My lungs were on fire, my whole body hurt, and I thought that anybody who enjoyed it was the devil. But eventually I started to love the way that the gym pushed me to become stronger mentally, physically, emotionally. And it got to a point where the gym made me demand more of myself and hold a higher standard to myself outside of the gym, which eventually turned into a healthy obsession, which has given me a great quality of life, Alhamdulillah. You see, people, they get depressed when they lack direction, right? When they lack a purpose in their life. And of course, we as Muslims, we know that the purpose of this life is Allah Azza wa Jal, as He tells us, that I have not created jinn and mankind except for one reason, and that is to worship me, right? But within that broad general statement of worshiping Allah, we know that worship as Muslims is much more than just fasting, praying, and giving charity. We know with the proper intention, man, anything can become worship. Of course, it has to be according to the Sunnah as well, but that's what I'm talking about, guys, alright? So we know that if we decide that we want to work out, right, and we have the intention of, I want to become strong in the path and cause of Allah, that working out now becomes ibadah, now becomes worship, right? Making YouTube videos with the intention of helping the Muslims and providing a service for the Muslims to help them get the heck out their own way, inshallah, is worship, dude. Me shooting my bow every single day with the intention of giving my family and my friends and my neighbors and those who are in need sadaqah, i.e., you know, charity, giving them elk meat, giving them deer meat, giving them, you know, the best protein on the planet. That, my friend, you guessed it, is worship. So you can create your purpose inside your purpose, within your purpose, which is to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you want to learn more about creating your passion, just click this link right here, dude. It takes you to a video I did a while back showing you exactly the steps that you need to take in order to create your own passion. Alright, if you got value from today's video, dude, drop your boy a like down below because it truly does help the channel. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell because your boy's dropping 2 new videos every single week and you don't want to miss it, inshallah. With that being said, guys, Jazakallah khairan barakallahu feekum as always, man. Stop stressing yesterday, bro. Stop fearing tomorrow. Make today great. And I will see you in that next one. If you work a 9-to-5 job just like me, that still leaves you 128 hours in your week, which is plenty of time to do 75 hard, train for your first half marathon, bow hunt train, shoot 4 YouTube videos a week, and still be a dad and a husband, or whatever you're telling yourself you don't have enough time for.